were told that we needed to build the Ranger helmet from Anthem. I'm not gonna lie, we were buzzing. This is the kind of commission that we have been waiting a long time for. I've been doing this for the best part of 8 years now, and I know how to make a helmet. But what we really wanted to do was to bring the helmet to life, and the all kick-ass version was smoke, there was lights, there was movement, there was everything that you could possibly imagine from a badass prop. The process we decided on: create a master created using the 3D printers, create a mold, take castings, and then those castings are finished up, painted, weathered, detailed, until it's a finished thing.
My role in this project was to take the 3D files that we received from EA, modify them a little bit, and make sure that they're ready for 3D printing. The files are incredible. It's the full resolution, high poly files from the game, which is great because it's going to be a perfectly accurate representation of the helmet. These are some of the best modelers in the world, but the problem is this helmet isn't designed to be a real world object. The person that made it obviously isn't an engineer. They don't know how this would realistically work.
Oh, this is awesome. I mean, the first prop I ever made was the Predator pistol from the Mass Effect series. So I am super excited and so glad that I actually finally get to work on something made by BioWare. My job's been to build the mechanisms and the smoke machine. I make everything work and everything move. The 3D files, they're empty 2D shells and we need to build them into actual volumes, and that's mostly what Glenn was doing. But I worked really closely with him to make sure that these things could actually fit together in the real world.
So the main problem was that the faceplate was clipping through the rest of the helmet, so we had to start cutting away at parts of the faceplate to make sure you had a clearance and could rotate into places to get right up and round. But luckily David, he knows what he's doing. He just kind of pointed me in the right direction and was like, put holes here, servo goes here, job done.
So it's working, but it's a little wobbly. It doesn't quite go down straight.
As a 3D artist, normally I'm working solely on a computer and the projects that I make are entirely digital. But with this, I'm working right next to two 3D printers, and as soon as I'm finishing a piece, I'm sending it to Tom and it's getting printed out right next to me.
Using these different types of 3D printers meant that we could create an identical 3D representation of this game asset. When the 3D prints come out, they look great from a distance, but you've got build lines. They need to disappear before you can get a mirror finish. Sanding is probably 99.72% of what we do. We need to join it all together. We need to join the gaps. That requires sanding. We need to paint it. Before you paint anything, it needs to be sanded. Any imperfection needs to be sanded out. We do a lot of sanding.
Do you enjoy sanding?
I love sanding. Sanding is the best. No, I don't do sanding anymore. I pay people to sand.
I did a lot of sanding, yeah, because Tom doesn't sand, so somebody's got to do the sanding. Getting a job like this is pretty much like a dream come true for me because I'm a huge BioWare fan. I'm pretty much Captain Buzzkill. I'm the one that has to get everyone to actually do what they're supposed to be doing, instead of running about shooting each other with space guns and talking about farts. The worst part of doing this job is that I haven't been able to actually play the game because I've been too busy doing this.
The temptation to just use the 3D print is always there, but 3D printing, they're not as strong and as durable, and you only get one chance. If you've spent all that time preparing a 3D print and you go and you accidentally drop it, that's it, ruined. With a mold, we can create multiples.
Oh, that looks like a cream egg inside of a cream egg.
It does actually.
Would you die if you ate it, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, no discussion.
Looks nice. I'm actually quite nervous. This is the first major point that we can f it up.
Yeah.
The silicone molding was painting on layers and layers of silicone to catch as much detail as possible, and then building a rigid outer jacket to keep that in place. Bad. It's the best one so far. The faceplate was a little bit more difficult because we needed to capture detail on all sides. So we needed to create a two-part mold for that. We used an epoxy to skin the outside and then backfill that with foam so that we could keep it nice and lightweight to make sure it could move with the mechanism. We didn't decide to just make a helmet, and our kind of inspiration was, what would you do if you were the mechanic working on the Javelin's helmet? Where would you put it? You wouldn't just leave it lying on the ground. You needed somewhere to mount it where you can do your testing, do your mechanisms. When we first approached the idea of creating a platform, we were quite concerned with the time constraint, and Glenn completely ignored everything we said.
EA actually sent us the full suit and it's covered in details, and I just started to take pieces from it. I was like, that looks cool, and then I just started sticking it on the base.
My initial response was, it's beautiful, but how the f are we going to build it? Simple box.
Yeah,
a simple box to put the helmet on top of. You got carried away. You're out of control, man. You're off the case.
Yeah, I kind of went a bit overboard with that, but just shifted a lot of my work into someone else's problem. That's kind of my job. Yeah, I'm the start of it. I'll make the 3D files, and it's like, you guys deal with that. I'm out. See you later.
We decided that it was too good of an opportunity to waste, and that's where myself and David got crazy. We added in smoke machines, we added in LEDs, we used a genuine rusted metal that was cut in our plasma cutter. We went absolutely wild with it.
Tom's original vision of it was going to be smoke and light, so I had to come up with a way to produce smoke on demand without buying an off-the-shelf smoke machine, which tend to be very expensive and very big. The solution is taking an off-the-shelf vape, taking it apart, putting some fans and some ducting to push the air through the vape. The end result is 3 jets of smoke, 2 coming out the pipes on the stand and 1 blowing straight up into the helmet, so you get a nice smoke effect coming out from the helmet. It just so happened that Tom already had a bottle of blueberry vape on him. It was the only one that didn't have nicotine in it. So every time we tried to test the machine, the entire workshop filled up with a nice blueberry smell and a smoky haze.
The first step of the painting and finishing process was to add an automotive primer. From that, we applied on some base coats, and then we set about detailing with the airbrush. Once all that was done, we set about destroying it effectively. We used sandpaper and sanding sponges to sand through the top coats, just like you would get on a mechanical piece that was used out in the battlefields, to add scratches, to add dents into it. And then the last touch was just to go in and add a little bit of weathering.
We spend like a long time making this, handling it like so carefully and trying not to get a single scratch on it, and then this part comes around and we start like flinging stuff at it, scratching it, getting a scalpel to it. It makes like such a huge difference.
For me personally, and for the whole of Sorenzo Studios, our approach is always that sort of eye for detail. We want to make sure that things are as accurate as humanly possible. Our blood, sweat and tears went into it, and we really hope that the world enjoys it.